All right, we're live.
Hey, all right, you guys, thanks so much for joining us. And it looks like we have a pretty big group here that is tuning in, and we are so pumped to really share with you our experience being in the beta test group as part of the lead coaches that got to test this performance line before it came out to the network. So, this is just kind of an informal, let us tell you our experiences and share some of the science and the pricing. And this is specifically geared for endurance athletes. So we're super pumped to bring this to you. So I'm going to let each coach go around and just give like 2 lines to introduce themselves. And then I'm going to riff with some questions and after we go through the slides. So why don't we start with Leanne? You want to introduce yourself first, and we'll end with Ryan. My name is Ashley Mahaffey, and I am down in San Diego. I am a 4-time Ironman athlete, and I do a lot of cycling, mountain bike riding, and I've kind of hung up my shoes on that long distance right now, but I still train athletes. And so this line was I was super excited to learn about it and that it's part of our suite of products to offer to our
Are we okay?
Could you hear me clearly?
Yeah, you like cut out for just a second there, but you're good now.
Okay, so Melissa, do you want to introduce yourself?
Gotta unmute.
There we go. I am unmuted. My name is Melissa Hadley, and I live in Massachusetts. And so I have done a half Ironman. I did a half Ironman in June. Haven't quite made my way to that full Ironman yet, but I'm working towards that. I've done 7 full marathons and a whole bunch of halves. I've lost track of the half marathons, but I think the half Ironman is my new favorite. So, and the performance line has really, really helped me with that.
Okay, great. And Leanne, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yep. Hi, guys. I am Leanne Gavayan. I am an ultra runner and an elite coach. And I got to use the products during that. So I'll explain more of that later, but that's a little bit about me.
Okay, and I had to move because I was unstable. Okay, Ryan, do you want to kick it off and tell us a little bit about what you do and who you work with, and then roll right into our slides?
Yeah, that works for me. Okay, so I'm Ryan Chapman. I'm a 2-time elite coach with Beachbody, 7-star diamond, and I'm also a triathlon coach, USAT level 1 certified. I've trained quite a few different athletes, and did Ironman Arizona in 2012 in 11:48, and I've got a 3:35 marathon PR, and have done, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 marathons, and used a lot of different products, and got to use these products training for my last marathon, and we'll go through all that kind of stuff. But I'm going to share my screen with everyone right now and go through some of the basics of these products with you, and then we'll share more about our stories, because I want you to know what the products are that we're actually talking about before we start sharing how we're using them, because it won't make as much sense to you. So let's see if I can someone just give me the thumbs up that you can see that screen? Okay, and that the slide just changed. We're all good? Okay. Excellent. So we're going to talk about these Beachbody performance line, this whole Beachbody performance line for endurance athletes, which it's not actually made specifically for endurance athletes. It's just a performance line, and you can use these to bulk up with Body B.A.S.E, and if you're a bodybuilder or stuff like that, but it works really, really well for endurance athletes. It's awesome. So, but what makes it different? Okay, you saw the photo here. There's a full line from pre-workout to post-workout to during workout to even an overnight recovery, and there's creatine all in this line. So what makes it different? Well, first of all, Dr. Nima Alamdari from Harvard is basically the one who helped formulate this for Beachbody, and it's industry-leading science and research. So they learn more things about how to recover from workouts, how to get more performance out of workouts, how to hydrate better, all that kind of stuff all the time. And this is the latest and greatest research and the latest and greatest testing on getting performance from your workouts and that kind of stuff. So industry-leading science. There's no artificial flavors, colors, sweeteners, or preservatives in this stuff, which is pretty incredible in the industry to have an entire line of stuff that has no artificial colors, sweeteners, or preservatives or flavors. That's something that a lot of companies are not really trying to do. They're, not worried about artificial flavors and things. They were trying to make it taste good at the same time as, and this stuff actually tastes good and doesn't have all the artificial stuff in it, which is one of the things I'm really excited about, because I eat clean and I don't want all the junk, and to have a clean performance line is huge for me. It doesn't have any of the antioxidant vitamins that a lot of performance things have in them, which actually hampers adaptations, they found out. And it actually contains what the package says. Kind of a little side story here that I'll try to be as quick as I can with, because we want to get through this. But a friend of mine actually works for a company that puts together some of Beachbody's supplements for them. And when I asked her about it, she told me that she's never seen any company so anal about what goes in their products. And that's what she does, is work with, like, they're a supplier for different companies for different powders and things like that, different supplements and things. And she said, I've never seen a company that cares so much about what goes in, making sure that what it says on the package is actually what's on the package. And Dr. Alamdari has talked about, and also the creator of Shakeology, Darren O'Lean, has talked about how you can't always assume that what's in there is what they say is in there is actually in there. But with Beachbody stuff, you definitely can. Clinically effective doses. So you'll notice when we talk about our protein that we have like 20 grams of protein. A lot of them out there are putting like 25, 28, 30 grams of protein. And it's just, you're not using that extra protein. So they're putting the amount in that you will actually use that's effective, and not just saying, hey, look, this isn't bro science. It's not, hey, look how many grams of protein we can shove into this thing. It's what actually works. It's NSF certified for sport. So that means that it's safe for, you won't get hit for doping or something like that with any of these substances, with any weird things. So it's certified for sport. We do our own independent testing and research, and it's a complete system designed to work together. So you get pre-workout, during workout, post-workout, and even overnight recovery, which is pretty unique. And then there's also creatine. And it's customizable to your needs. So based on your body weight and stuff like that, you can kind of change it to get what you actually need. Okay, so let's go through each of the products real quick, talk about each one. The first one that I'm going to talk about is a pre-workout. This is Energize. And so this is the thing that you take before you work out, and it gives you that push, that extra bit. Some of the components of it: beta-alanine, which increases performance in high-intensity exercise. It decreases fatigue and lactic acid buildup. And it actually, interestingly, gets better with use. So as you use this product, you get more and more out of your workouts, which I think all of us have pretty much experienced using this product, that it's like you start using it, it's like, whoa, like I'm really getting some serious hit on these workouts. Low dose caffeine from green tea. So it's lower dose that reduces the possibility of all the side effects that you can get from way too much caffeine, like even nauseousness and the jitters and all that kind of stuff. So everybody's different, but I don't get the jitters from this at all, but I get a real boost out of it. And then it's got quercetin, or as Dr. Alamdari, who has a British accent, says, quercetin. It's quercetin, but it's a plant-based phytonutrient, and it improves exercise performance too, and that's been proven through testing and stuff like that. So this is a really clean, like there's nothing else in this but some beet sugar. So even like the carbohydrate source that's in this is a clean source from beets. It's not just like throwing some maltodextrin or something like that in there. It's a good, natural, clean source. So that's Energize. When do you use Energize? Well, on race day, like you get that energy boost, you can use it. High intensity training, anything intervals, intense strength training. On your long distance training, your long run days, your long bricks, you can use it before you actually go. And you can even play around a little bit with having an extra hit on those long days, like halfway between or somewhere in the middle. You use it for the package directions prior to exercise. You can experiment with additional doses during those long days. So that's Energize. That's a pre-workout. That one's pretty straightforward, I think. Hydrate. This one is huge for endurance athletes, because this is where you get your electrolytes from. So it's got low dose carbohydrates. So it's not going to be your primary fuel source necessarily when you're going for your half Ironman or your Ironman. You might be supplementing with additional carbohydrates, but it gets you those electrolytes with a low dose of carbohydrates, and with the correct water volume. That osmolality, I think they call it. So it tells you how much water to put with it so that you get the correct absorption. So it increases the fluid absorption and you get better hydration, which means better performance. It has the right electrolytes in it at very specific levels that have been tested based on published studies and the sweat loss that people have. It also has the quercetin in it, which is that plant-based phytonutrient that improves exercise performance. So that's why you're going to see this bright yellow color from these things. It's kind of cool. It's like drinking neon. It's awesome. When to use hydrate, obviously on race day, you're going to use hydrate as your electrolyte drink. So if you're doing something like Noon, or what's some of the other ones? Somebody hit me with another one. But the electrolyte drinks that you do, or even like salt stick tabs or something like that you're using for electrolytes, this would be your replacement for that. You can use it on high or low intensity training. It's intended to replace the electrolytes from sweat loss. So if you're sweating, you can use this. Like that's basically it. Use it per the package directions. It tells you how much to use based on your body weight. And then you can use it with additional fuel sources as needed. So if you're doing gels or something else for your fuel, you can use that. But this is where you get your electrolytes. Okay, so this is huge. I know we're going to talk about how that works even in 100-milers today. Recover. So we've covered pre-workout, during workout. Now we're talking about the recover. So after workout, it's a high quality protein blend. I already mentioned 20 grams of protein rather than just put as much protein in it as we can. It's like the amount that you're going to actually use for recovery. And it's cool because it has a blend of protein. So it has the whey protein, which is a fast release, which gets to your muscles and gets there quickly. And then it has the pea protein, which is a little slower. And then the micellar casein. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I think so. That's the slow release protein. Okay, so it's got a blend. It's not just whey protein. Okay, it's going to help better. It's got the BCAAs, branch chain amino acids, and L-glutamine in specific ratios, which improves the muscle synthesis and repair. So it's got all that stuff in it. If you do some research on recovery, this is stuff that this is what people are using to recover. BCAAs, L-glutamine, protein blends. It's got pomegranate extract, which reduces muscle soreness. So that's good because we don't want to, if you're training for an Ironman or something like that, muscle soreness is an issue. Probably for 100-milers, I'm guessing too. Leanne can maybe talk about that a little bit. But then again, you don't have any of the junk. There's no maltodextrin and all these chemicals in there. It's real clean stuff, okay? So that's recover. When to use recover? Race day after the race. That's a great time to use recover, and following any high intensity training. If you're going for a short, easy 30-minute run, then I might not take recover. Okay. If you're doing yoga day, you don't need recover. But if you're doing high intensity training after the race, long training, you take it within 30 minutes per the package direction, within 30 minutes of your high intensity exercise. And it can be combined with creatine for strength training, workout recovery, and adaptation. So I would use this with creatine, which we'll talk about in just a second, if you're doing strength training. We can talk a little bit about using creatine when you're just doing endurance training. Maybe someone can add something to that, but I mostly use that when I'm doing the strength training days. So there's that. Next, this is kind of unique. I've never seen this before. Beachbody came out with it. It's an overnight recovery thing, which I think if you're an Ironman athlete and you're on this call, or you're a 100-mile athlete, or someone who's doing you're that weekend warrior type of Ironman athlete, especially, this is huge for you. Because I know when I was training for Ironman and I was having to do a lot of my training on the weekends because you work, and so it's like Saturday and Sunday, it's like, hey, I got to do an 80-mile bike ride followed by a 4-mile run. And then the next day I need to do a 14-mile run or something like that. Like, this is huge because at night you take this stuff and it has the slow release micellar casein protein, 20 grams of it, that overnight helps you recover from all that muscle breakdown that you had in all those big workouts, right? So this is huge for a lot of us athletes that really need to be able to get up on Sunday after the brick on Saturday and do it all over again, right? So BCAAs and L-glutamine again, but it's only the slow release protein. And it also has this tart cherry stuff, which reduces delayed onset muscle soreness, or DOMS, and reduces exercise-induced inflammation. And it apparently, a lot of people are reporting, including a little bit myself, not as much as some people are reporting, but that they sleep like a baby on this stuff. That tart cherry has some some things about it that cause people to sleep really well. So if you want to sleep really well after you've done a brick, I don't know how many people get like that restless leg syndrome type of thing after you've been on like a 4-hour bike ride and a 10-mile run or something like that, that you just can't even sleep. This is going to help you with that. When to use it: race day, the night after your big race, following any high intensity training, before bed that night. Great for those long weekends like I talked about. No more having to take ibuprofen after those long weekends. You can use this instead. So you're going to use it for the package directions, and it's always taken within 1 hour of sleep. So when you know you're going to go to bed, within an hour of that, take this. Creatine, this is a creatine monohydrate, and wow, I have a spelling error there. Why didn't one of you catch that? My goodness, trying to be professionals here. Where were you guys on that one? But we got creatine monohydrate, which is, there's different sources of creatine. There's nitrate, creatine malate. This is the highest quality source on the market of creatine monohydrate, which increases performance and both the effects of high intensity exercise and strength training. So if you're doing high intensity stuff, you can use this. If you're doing strength training, you can use it, and you usually add it to recover. I think they have that on the next. So following any high intensity training, any resistance training, per the package directions, within 30 minutes, and you combine it with recover. So throw your recover and your creatine together within 30 minutes of your workout, and you get the water to the muscles, you get the protein to the muscles, you get all the stuff you need to help you recover and get your muscles back ready to go. I think that is all of it. So we're on to package options, but we're going to tell our stories of how we trained with it first, and I think I'm going to send it back over to Ashley to get that going, and then I'll come back and talk about the different package options and prices and all that kind of stuff. Let me stop the screen share here.
Cool. All right. Yeah, thanks. So let's just go around and I'd like to hear how you guys used it, or how you're using it now with some of your athletes. So why don't we start with Leanne? I know that you have you just trained and did a 100-miler, is that correct? And why don't you share a little bit about
now, hold on. You're going to have her go first, and then all of the rest of us are going to look like she's going to go 100 miles. I'm just messing.
All right. Well, let's make sure everybody stays in line, because we've got great stories to tell too. Okay. So, Leanne, why don't you share, just because, just coming off the heels of all of these 4 that he just listed, or 5 that he just listed, share what kind of your distance was most recently, and then how it compared to how you your most recent race, or your PR. How did you do?
Okay. Yeah, I actually started with the supplements like all of you in April, and it was actually about 6 weeks out from my 100-miler that I was going to be running in May, over Memorial Day. So I decided to go all in and do all of the supplements, because I'm also a Body.B.A.S.E devotee. So I used everything for my training. And can you guys hear me okay? Because I know my internet's a little spotty. But basically what I did is, of course, I used the Energize. I used the Hydrate. Most of that was for my high intensity training. I pretty much trained 6 days a week, 2 hours a day. And let's see, sorry, I think I'm spotty. But I would train about 2 hours a day. That included Body.B.A.S.E and high intensity training in a high altitude room. I do a lot of my training in a high altitude room, so my endurance training is kind of done there. I don't run as much as I do cross training. I've just kind of trained my body to do that. So I used all of the protein and the creatine during my Body.B.A.S.E training, and then for the cardio and the endurance training, I included the Hydrate and the Energize. My recovery time was just amazing after Body.B.A.S.E. I actually was not sore after the workouts, which is a huge shift from what it was the months before, where I would get DOMS really, really bad after a workout. I was able to then get up the next day because I wasn't as sore and push myself harder, faster and stronger and longer. So I was able to increase my weights, which obviously helped me in my running as well, because my strength increased immensely. I went into my race Memorial Day weekend hoping for a PR, and I did get a PR in my 50-mile time by 25 minutes, which was just insane. And then I kept going. And this whole time I was hydrating with Hydrate, and I was using Energize about every 4 hours throughout the race just to keep me going. And I landed up finishing that race with a second best time of 25 hours, and I think it was 20 minutes. So it was about 40 minutes off of my personal best time. So I loved it so much and was so excited that the products were released that I actually am training again for another 100 miler, and that is in 3 days from now.
Wow.
So I'm going to be running another 100 mile, doing the Hydrate and Energize the entire race.
So first of all, anybody that's out there for 25 hours, high five. But I'm going to ask you, since you're out there on the road or on the trails longer than any of us are in our sport, how did you deal with flavor fatigue with the Hydrate?
I actually did really surprisingly well. I was good until about like mile 80, which at that point in time, when you're putting your body through that much stress, I mean, nothing sounds good, not even water. But I did really good until about then and hit a little bit of fatigue, switched it up, added some seltzer water. Actually, I know it sounds crazy, but I added some seltzer water into my Hydrate, and that helped calm my stomach, change the flavor a little, and I was ready to keep rocking and rolling and running. So,
and do you guys know why there isn't flavor fatigue with the Hydrate? Nope, just there isn't. I'm wondering if there was something that I couldn't recall in the test group if they were talking about it. Okay, well, let me ask you a question. How about your stomach? Because that's another big thing. I mean, some races it's like hit or miss, but tell me, do you normally have a really good stomach, or how does it?
No, I have probably the worst stomach for endurance sports, which just cracks me up that that's what I do. I spent years trying to figure out my nutrition with running, between eating goos or having real food or, just those block things, and nothing ever really sat well in my stomach. And I actually used to have to drink Pedialyte because that was the only thing I was ever able to tolerate when running long distances. But even at that, by mile 50, I was still really, really nauseous. So with the Hydrate, I had nothing. I literally, there was no nausea, no sick feeling that I would normally get. My stomach tolerated it fine. I didn't have any gastro, distress or anything. So
that's awesome. So and then how about the overnight? What did you do with that? I mean, how was that when you were using that for your training?
The recovery and all.
The recovery recharge, yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome. I love that. Just, I would use the recovery chocolate right after my Body B.A.S.E workouts, combined with the creatine. And then I would use the recharge for nighttime, or immediately after, right before I would go to bed. And it works wonders. And I totally agree with Ryan. I know that he said that people sleep much better on it. I am one of those people that it's not that it puts you to sleep, but you get a well-rested sleep. And for those of us that are putting our bodies through such a process, it really helps to get that good sleep and that good rest in, so your muscles can repair and grow and build themselves during that process. So.
That's awesome. Well, is there anything else that you want to share specifically about any of the products? And did you use the creatine?
Yeah, I did. I used the creatine, still use it now. It's an excellent addition to my strength training, which I pretty much do 6 days a week in addition to my endurance, ultra training. So I love the creatine. I was always scared to take it because I always heard, women, if they take it, they get bloated, and none of that happened. None of that. And in fact, I just can't believe that it took me this long to start using it. So
Right. Cool. That's awesome. All right. Well, and then feel free to hop in if you remember of something else that wants somebody that's triggered by, me talking to someone else. But let's go with Melissa. Melissa, why don't you share your experience using the products and what you were training for?
Sure. So I'm a little different in that I don't train for these long events. I just kind of go out and do them. But these products have really helped. So I did have.
I'm frozen.
I'm frozen. Am I frozen?
You're good.
I did a half Ironman in June, and it was an interesting experience. I never thought I'd ever do one. It has always been a goal of mine. I've done 7 full marathons, a bunch of half marathons, and I also have multiple sclerosis. So for me to do a half Ironman was always one of those things that I was like, oh, I'm going to do it, but never really thought I would. But I don't like to train for these things, like I said, so I just kind of go do it. I was doing Insanity Max 30 and 21 Day Fix Extreme as my training. And my husband's cousin, who he is an Ironman, so he's done a full Ironman. He's like, good luck with that. There's no way you can do a half without training properly. And I said, watch me, because I'm gonna. And so I swam twice. So for those of you who might not know, watching this, a half Ironman is a 1.2 mile swim. And then it's like a 56-mile bike ride and then a half marathon. I swam twice before I trained, during my training, once for 15 minutes and once for 45 minutes. And that was it. I don't swim. And I was like, I'm all set with that wetsuit. I'll just go and swim on that day. And then cycling, I've been cycling for a very long time. I become one with my bike and I just go. But hydrating is super important. And I used to just have, I recently had, before the Performance line came out, I switched to Noon tablets, which was mentioned earlier. And but then when Hydrate came out, I'm like, I'm going to try this. And as an elite coach, I got the sneak peek, and it was unbelievable, the difference, because even before Noon, I was doing Gatorade nastiness and all that other stuff. And I'm like, didn't sit well in my stomach. But then I tried the Hydrate, and I felt like I was flying high on my bike. And then during my run trains, which were like literally, I think the longest training I did for the half Ironman was 7 miles. And that was it. And, but during the actual race, I can tell my body, because I have MS, I'm very, and any endurance athlete is very in tune with their body, but I have to be at this peak level of, okay, if I'm going to overheat, I could go into shock with my MS. It could get very, very ugly very fast. And the whole time I had Hydrate on me during the race. And I can remember drinking it and thinking, I feel amazing, especially obviously on the bike. I had Energized before I got into the water to swim. Like, if something's going to get me through this swim, it's going to be the Energized. So I drank my Energized, and I was great during the swim, got out, said my prayers, and thanked God that I survived the swim. And I had one more shot of Energized before I got on the bike. And I just kept having my Hydrate. I alternated Hydrate and water. And the whole time, I just couldn't believe how amazing I felt. I'm like, is this the Hydrate? But I did train on the bike. So I kind of knew how it was going to affect me, but I didn't train for 56 miles. Like, I just kind of went out and did 13-mile rides. So I knew that it was working. But then in the run was torture. This half Ironman was in Syracuse, and it is hills the entire time. It's their hardest. Even the race director said, how many of you are first-time half Ironmanners? And I raised my hand. And he's like, good for you, because this is our hardest race in the whole series. And I said, great. And I also had no idea that there were time limits for every leg of the race. I had no clue. And I said, how in goodness gracious am I going to get out of the water in an hour and 10 minutes or whatever it was? How am I going to get off the road for the bike in however long it was? And then how am I going to get off the road for the run? I am not prepared. And I just kept drinking my hydrate, and I was so upset when I ran out of hydrate on the run. I ran out at probably 4 miles left to go, and I was passing these people with like, they were cut. I'm not cut. I just put it in my mind that I'm going to go run, and I run and I do it. And I don't let MS defeat me. And I'm like, if anything's going to get me through, honestly, this is what I thought. This hydrate is going to get me through this race. And I just kept drinking it, and I was fine. So I was running by these people that were clearly endurance athletes. They were like peak performance people. And they were like, what are you drinking? Because I was just guzzling it as I was going. And I was like chatting up Beachbody while I was running. And they're throwing down soda because they serve soda on the run. And I'm like, I'm good. I'm going to have my hydrate. And so we were talking, and they said that they went too fast on the ride, on the bike. And I said, I went hard on the bike, but I feel great. And I crossed that finish line feeling amazing. And honestly, even though I don't train like you're supposed to train for these things, I'm also a personal trainer. So I know, like I said, I know my body, and I know how you're supposed to train for these things. This isn't my first rodeo, so to speak. I've done 7 marathons. I know what an endurance event is like. And I had never felt better in all of my endurance races than I did for that half Ironman. And a half Ironman, it's nothing like a full or an ultra marathon, but it's harder than a full marathon. And I had never felt better. That night, I did use the Vanilla Dream because I'm like, all right, I'm going to be one messed up person the next day. Because mind you, I didn't train. So I was assuming I was going to be sore Sally the next day. I woke up, I walked to the bathroom. I'm like, oh my goodness, I can walk. It was because typically you have to walk backwards down the stairs the next day because you can't move. But I was perfectly fine. It was unbelievable. And you sleep like a baby. It's incredible. The dreams that you have are very vivid. I have that. My husband uses the Vanilla Dream.
Cool.
Yeah, I can't speak highly enough.
Wow. I mean, that's amazing. 2 swims, and then you go out and you bust out a 1.1. That's great. I love that story. Oh, that's great. So, so you've done these endurance races before. So that's obviously you had the confidence in doing it, and you've had this upset stomach before. And so did you have any problem with your stomach? Cause I know your half took you a couple hours. So did you have any problem with your stomach?
I had no problems with
Good.
my stomach at all.
Perfect. All right. That's awesome. And then how about your flavor fatigue? Did you have any flavor fatigue with the hydrate?
Not at all. Like I said, I was alternating with water, so that helped. But not at all. I was afraid that I wouldn't like the flavor because I'm not like a lemon lime kind of girl, but it was great.
Good. Well, congratulations. Yay. All right. So let's go spin around to Mr. Chapman. Why don't you share with us if you were training for anything or what your regimen was for workouts during the beta test.
Okay. You guys can hear me okay, right?
Perfectly. Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. Yeah, so I was training for a marathon. I came back actually from Paris Marathon. My wife and I ran the marathon in Paris this year, and that's when we got the shipment of the beta test stuff, so I got to start trying it. And I decided to go ahead and sign up for a second marathon just so I could use the stuff and to try it out. And there's one close to us here. So I went ahead and continued on my training, and I had trained with other stuff for Paris. And so I got to kind of really see the difference, like actually train for this one with this stuff and Paris with the other stuff. And I was amazed at the difference in my workouts. I didn't have the greatest race experience, but I'll explain why in just a second. But my training runs were amazing. I would go out and take the pre-workout before any of my really long runs. I'd take Energize, and there's so much focus that you get from Energize where you're like, I am running 20 miles. Like nothing's going to stop me from running this 20-mile run. And I'm kind of a long, like when I train for a marathon, I get up into 24, 25, 26-mile runs. A lot of people train in the, like Leanne's one that trains very low running, and I'm always running like 22s, 24s, 26s before marathons. I would take that Energize before, and then I would use Hydrate during, and I would supplement with Vega Sport gels is my normal fuel. So I'd have Vega Sport gels, Hydrate, and water, and that was what I would train with. And I had some of the best 20-mile runs and 18-mile runs and 16-mile runs that I've ever had in my life, like pulling speeds on them that I didn't think that I was in shape for. And I was like, man, I still feel good. 9-minute miles, 8.5-minute miles, 8-minute miles. I'm like, I still feel good. Like, okay, all right, well, I'll just keep going. So I had some of the greatest training runs that I've ever had. And then after any of those long runs, I would do the recover. Right when I got home, I would do the recover. And then at night, I would do the recharge. And I would get up the next day, and I started doing because I do coaching full time, I can do my long runs on Tuesday. I don't have to do the whole weekend thing anymore. I'm not a weekend warrior anymore. So when my kids go to school, I can go out and run 20 miles. And I started being able to do my long runs like the day before I would teach fitness classes like Insanity and Pio and not have a problem, which I used to have to make sure that, okay, I have a Insanity class on Wednesday. I cannot do my long run on Tuesday. I have to do it on Thursday or something like that. And then from doing Insanity, I'd be sore for my long run. And it was always like this juggling act. And during this training, I was able to do my long runs whenever I wanted. And I could go teach Pio the next day, or I could go teach Insanity the next day, and I was fine. So I was using the recover, I was using the recharge. I did not use creatine during my marathon training. I use it now because I'm doing body beats now. I'm not doing endurance training, but and I've seen some great results from that too. As far as what's interesting is that it wasn't forecasted to be as hot as it ended up being, and I had figured out how much hydrate I wanted, and I didn't want to carry it with me. And so I planned to meet my wife at a certain point along the run, about 8 miles in, and grab my second batch of hydrate. And she missed some turns and did not make it to our drop-off spot. And I didn't get my extra hydrate until mile 12 instead of mile 8. And then it was about 10 degrees hotter than they were forecasting. And the run changed course and was unshaded in a very large portion between mile 12 and mile 18. And so I just completely lost it about mile 16 and just went and crashed. I had a really good first 16 miles, though. But it was, I wonder if I would have got that hydrate at mile 8 instead of at mile 12. And at 4 miles of not having what I had calculated out I needed, what the difference would have been, because that was, I think that's probably a big difference, because I felt great for the first 8 miles. Actually, I felt great for the first 15 or 16 miles, but at that point, was I too low on electrolytes and stuff like that to be able to make it through? So it's because it was so hot. Do you have any problems with your stomach during that race? Yes, I did. And that's part of what started happening about mile 16 was stomach started acting up, and I just felt not good at all. But
on your longer training runs, did you have a problem with flavor fatigue?
Nope.
You were okay to just keep taking that?
Oh, I loved it. Yeah. I thought it was great.
Yeah. And then regarding the branched chain amino acids and the L-glutamine, I mean, you guys, I love the fact that it's all in that one thing. It's in the recovery and the recharge, the overnight. Yeah. So I love that. Don't you guys think that's so awesome that you don't have to take a ton of different products? And then you said something at the top of the call about the fact that there's specific amount, the appropriate amount of protein. You know, I see some of these other post-workout protein kind of things, and they have got like 30 plus grams, 25, 30 plus grams, and that's just wasted. And you're right, there's people that just think, oh, I just need to have all of this stuff. They're wrong. And I think that Beachbody got it right with this, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's really backed by the science. I mean, if you really watch, we have a really detailed webinar on the science from Dr. Alamdari, and he really goes into, this is like the published studies and the testing that they did and all that kind of stuff. Like this is where it's at right now. Everything's right on with what we know about recovery and performance. So the why is the color so neon orange? I think you might have touched on it. I just can't remember. Yeah, it's that quercetin or quercetin stuff.
Quercetin.
You also have to say vitamin. You know that, right? Vitamin.
Yes. And the other thing that I noticed when I first started taking the Energize before the workout was that I felt a little tingly, and that's the beta alanine, right?
Yeah.
And I noticed that I didn't need a normal, like how much do you take for before your workout?
Well, I take 2 scoops of it before most of my workouts. Yeah, I know.
I take maybe a half.
I'm a junkie.
I'm up to 3/4 of a scoop. But Leanne, how much do you take of that Energize?
She's unmuting, maybe.
You take 2 scoops? Wow. Did you start off at 2 scoops? You had no problem metabolizing that. Wow. Okay. And Melissa and I are obviously we tingle a little bit more.
A lot. Yeah. So I do 3/4 of a scoop.
Yeah.
He does mention though that as you go, like it builds up. You don't tingle as much anymore if you keep going.
Right.
So it's good. Just build it up a little by little.
And build, yeah, exactly. So when I first took it, I was like, what's going on? So if you guys are taking this for the first time, just know that you can start the lower dosage and just build up, because it's something that needs to stay in your system. It's not something that you just take once and then like it's like awesome. You need to have that build up. So I think that's about it. I mean, I don't have any other specific questions. Do you guys have anything else that you want to chime in on that might have come up and you remembered as we were talking tonight?
I just wanted to chime in real quick because I finally got my mute button to unmute. But when you're talking about the Energize and the tingling, in the very beginning I did have that, but now my system is so used to it that I don't feel that anymore. So those that feel that and worry, like, oh my goodness, what is this? As Ryan said, the more you use it and your body adapts and builds up to it goes away. So.
Agreed. I was the same way. I was a little nervous that something was going wrong when I first had my first serving, but it's not a problem now. Awesome. So Ryan, do you want to take us through the rest of the slides for the pricing?
Yes, absolutely. We can do that. I'll share my screen right now and we'll go through the package options so people can know what, let's see, is this right?
And you guys, while he's doing that, go ahead if you want to answer, post any questions in that little chat box at the bottom and we can try to hit on those.
Okay. Can you guys see that? Okay.
Yes, it says package options.
Package options. Hey, that's what we're going through. All right. Okay, so let's talk about the different options that we have for purchasing and making sure you get all the right products that you want for your particular goals. So the first one that I want to talk about is the Club Performance Pack, and I think this is probably the most value out of all of the packages. It may not fit everybody, but I think it has the most value in it. So what it's got is for $140, whether you're a coach or a customer, $140, you get access to the club membership, which gives you access to Beachbody on demand. You also get meal planning and other content in that, and that regular price is $38.87. So if you don't know about Beachbody on demand, it's streaming streaming workouts on your computer or on your phone or on your tablet or any device that can get on the internet. And there's a base group of workouts that are on there with the base club membership. So you get access to P90X, the original P90X, P90X2, P90X3, 10-Minute Trainer, Chalene Extreme, Insanity, the entire Insanity program, Turbo Fire. There's several others that I'm missing, but there's like 10 or 11 workout programs that are just on there for that cost. So you get access to that, plus you get the Energize and the Recover in that $140 package option. So you can see on the screen there, there's the regular prices, the club member prices of those, and the coach prices of, so coach, like those of us that are on this webinar right now that just talked to you, we're all coaches, so we get 25% off. So that's what those prices are there. So with the club pack, you get all three of those things: the access to the Beachbody On Demand, the Energize, and the Recover. The total cost for that separate would be $158.77. If you were a club member, you get 10% off, so it's $146.79. And the coach price separate would be $128.79. And it's $140 whether it's regular or coach price. And now you might say, okay, whoa, hold on a second. Why is coach price separate $128.79, but it's $140 if I buy the club performance pack? Well, that's because when you buy the club performance pack at $140, you also get your $40 coach enrollment fee waived. So it's basically you're not having to pay that $40. So you could sign up and buy each of those things separately for $128.79 as a coach, but you would also pay a $40 coach fee. So now it would be $168.79. So this is cheaper. Okay. So you get your $40 coach enrollment fee waived, and $140 whether you're a coach or a customer for this club performance pack. So I think this is one of the best options that we have, but I'll take you through the other ones as well. We have the performance stack, which is everything that I just showed you, except not the club membership. So if you just want Energize and Recover, you don't care about the club membership, then here's your prices, okay, for just Energize and Recover. And if you bought those regular price separately instead of in the stack, the performance pack where they're packaged together, it would be $119.90. If you're a club member, 10% off. Coach price would be $89.92. If you buy it as a stack, the coach price is $82.46. So you get a little bit off buying it off as a stack. If you just buy it as a stack as a customer, it's $109.95. So you get about $10 off buying it as a stack. Note that if you go this route instead of the club performance pack at $140, that your coach enrollment fee is not waived, okay? And you don't get the access to on demand. The advanced performance stack. Now this one, like if you're an Ironman athlete, this is what you want. Energize, Recover, Hydrate, and Recharge. So you get the overnight recovery, you get the during workout, you get the right after workout recovery, and you get the pre-workout. There's all the prices there, $49.95, $69.95, all that stuff for the regular prices, all the coach prices. There's a little bit better breakdown. If you bought them all separately as a customer, $224.80. If you buy them in the stack as a customer, $199.95. So you're talking about like $25 worth of savings right there if you buy it as a stack. Now the savings get really big if you go to the coach price, $149.96 versus $200 as a stack. So you're getting like $50 off. So even that even like basically covers the coach enrollment fee, but it's not waived. So you would have to pay the $40 coach enrollment fee, but all your months after that, you would be saving a full $50, not just $10, because you have to pay that coach enrollment fee. Okay. So this is a really good option for the Ironman athletes, especially because you get all those products. And then you have the advanced performance stack, which is just simply the ultimate performance stack, which is the advanced performance stack plus the creatine. So you're just adding the creatine in basically. And now you're saving even more than $50. You're saving quite a bit here on this. So coach enrollment fee, again, not waived. Your coach price on the entire stack is $161.21. Best options, in my opinion, go for the coach prices. Like you get so much better savings for the coach prices that you're going to pay a $15 a month coach fee. So you're going to get $15 out of your normal monthly savings, paying that coach fee. But most of these stacks, the savings is way more than $15. So you might as well get the coach price on it. So if you're watching this, you're thinking, I need to get these things, even if you're not interested in actually coaching or being on a team where you're actually building a business like all of us are, then still go for the coach thing because you're going to get the best price out of it. My best option, I think, is doing the club performance pack, like I said, for $140. What I would do probably is I would buy the club performance pack and sign up as a coach, because then the coach enrollment fee is waived. And then the next month I would switch my monthly order, or soon after I would switch my monthly order to whatever stack I actually wanted. Like I would switch it to the advanced stack if I wanted those 4 products. So I'd start with the Club Performance Pack, try out the Energize and the Recover, and be a coach so I could get the better deal and have the club membership with the Beachbody On Demand. And then I would switch to the advanced stack where I get all 4 products or something like that. That would be my way of doing it if I was, coming into this brand new. The other option, that ultimate performance stack, especially if you're a long or ultra distance with all the products in it at coach price, is an awesome option. There's even enough savings there to sign up as a coach without getting the coach enrollment fee waived, pay the coach enrollment fee, and you still save money over buying it as a customer.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, if you're going to be a consumer, you get that. I mean, all of us are consumers. We all are consumers. And so that just go for what can save you the most money, and or pay more money.
It's fine either way. I just, those are the options that I would take the coach prices. On Shakeology and some of our other products and stuff, like the coach price makes some sense. But for these performance products, the coach prices just make the most sense I've ever seen. Like I never really push people to be coaches just for the discount or anything like that, except that when it's this much savings, it's kind of like you should probably do that.
And if you're listening to this and you are not a coach, you just want to let you know that you're not required to do anything. You're not required to have a monthly minimum. You don't have to work the business. Just it's the title of coach, because that's the only option they have right now.
Right. But you do have that option if you want to. Like if you want to, build a business,
of course,
you've got that option, but you don't have to.
But try the product.
Like you're a discount member.
Yeah,
that's all.
Discount member, exactly.
So if I would say that if you're a coach or you actually train athletes, definitely get this in their hands. You guys want them to have a better performance. Either coming to you for training. We can still see your screen there, Ryan. They're coming to you for training, and you want them to have their best results. So get this in their hands, make them try it, ask them to try it for 30 days and then see how they feel and what the results are. There's a money back guarantee. So get the stuff in their hands and let them start trying it, or in their bodies, I guess. Absolutely. Anything else you guys have?
I don't have anything. We can take some questions if no one else wants to add anything before we start taking them. Anybody? Anybody got anything else before we start taking questions? No? We have a question here. So how much hydrate and how often is recommended on long runs? Do you want to take that, Leanne, or you want me to?
Well, I think it's going to vary. Probably both of our answers are going to probably vary based on, what you're running, how long you're running, what the temperature is, I know for myself, I tend to not, I usually do about 8 ounces every probably 40 minutes or so, because that's all I can basically handle. And depending on the distance and how hot it is, depends on how much more I drink. So I really think most people, if they're doing, let's say, a 6-mile run, you don't need probably more than, I'd say 12 ounces, if that,
I think the package says, it's basically 1 scoop per 30 minutes. And there's 8 ounces of water for each scoop or something along those lines. But the package goes up to 90 minutes. So it's like 1 scoop for 30 minutes, 2 scoops for 60 minutes, 3 scoops for 90 minutes. And then if you're doing something longer than that, you can just kind of extrapolate out and give that a try. And then if it's too much for you or not enough for you, you can adjust based on your sweat level and, what you feel like you need, I think. Right?
So talking about sweat level, Ryan and Leanne, how about you guys, the experience of the salt? Like, do you ever, before using Hydrate, did you guys have a lot of salt on your skin or on your, your clothing after your long runs?
I would say moderate. I don't know. I don't know about a lot.
That's a great question, especially for me right now. And I hope. Oh.
Yeah, you got a hot run coming up.
You there?
Yep.
Yeah.
Am I?
We can hear you. Okay, so can you go ahead and try and talk? I think we can hear you.
Darn.
No, go ahead, speak.
Okay. No, I can hear you guys in and out, but no, I am actually a really heavy sweater, like to the point when I went to run TRT last year and they do you at weigh stations. You have to, weigh in at every station. In the first 18 miles, I actually lost 8 pounds. And they had to keep holding me at the weigh stations. When I did Nanny Goat, I actually left that race, weighed myself, and came home. And with drinking hydrate the entire time, I did not lose that heavy amount of sweat, which was great. And I think that's why I did so well. Now, my race this coming weekend, it's supposed to be 102 degrees. So I'm really holding off for hoping that the hydrate really helps with that, like it did at Nanny Goat, and I'll be able to not have it, any type of electrolyte or dehydration issues.
And then did you use full strength the scoops when you were doing your, like, for 8 ounces? Did you use one scoop?
Yeah, well, what I usually do is I carry a 16-ounce bottle, and I'll do 2 scoops in that. Especially in the beginning, just to get it in my system and make sure that it's pumping through me. And then here and there, like if I feel like I'm over hydrating, then I'll just go down to 1 scoop, with a little more water, and then just kind of play it by ear. So.
Cool.
All right. Well, let's see. Do we have any other questions? You can use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen if you want to ask a question. I'm actually going to stop this share, bring us back to full screen.
Cool.
Nobody?
And how does this, somebody asked, how does this compare for those of you that know what E&E is? How does it compare to E&E, the Energize, in your experience using both?
I like Energize better. I get a better push from it, and I like the flavor better. So
Yeah, I
would better.
Yeah, I was the same way. I think for me, E&E kind of gives me like that nice like woo, okay, let's get this done. And Energizer, I'm like, let's do it.
Yeah.
I'm super focused and I'm super just, I want to get it done, and all my energy is just going into that workout. Whereas Energizer, with E&E, I have a push, but not as intense as Energizer.
Right. We have another question. Oh, that's an interesting question. How much time in advance can you mix hydrate? I don't actually know the answer to that.
Yeah.
I actually kind of do. When I did Nanny Goat with the hydrate, Dennis actually told me that I could pre-make them. So I made about 3 bottles in advance and kept them in my cooler. And then when I needed them and I hit an aid station, I would just grab it and go. So it still stayed the same and worked the same for me the entire time.
Cool.
We got another question. I'd love to hear from anyone who used Energize during the race as an energy boost, maybe at a low point. I know Melissa used it after the swim, not necessarily at a low point. Leanne, did you use any during?
Yeah, I used it the entire race pretty much. I actually didn't start using it until, my race started at 7 a.m. I didn't start using it really until about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, kind of when I hit that lull and I was, needing that extra push. And then I used it throughout the night. Obviously, the nighttime is the hardest. So definitely from 11 p.m. on, I used it, and I was able to stay awake and not have that, exhaustion feeling and want to sleep run feeling. So yes, definitely it worked excellent for that.
Yeah.
And much better than a 5-hour energy. Much safer.
Yes, much safer. You're a beast. I can't even. Ugh. Getting out of the water after an hour seems like nothing compared to that. But I did use it after the swim, which was an hour. God only knows how many minutes. But and it helped because I was, like I said, I didn't train, so getting out of the water, I was toast. Like I could barely get my wetsuit off. So having that jolt of energize really helped.
Do we have any others here? No questions right now. We are at an hour now, so I think that's probably just about good unless anybody has another quick question. What do you think? Are we good?
We're good.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording then.